What are the different application techniques and how long do they last? In our V-Light certification class, we teach 3 application techniques: an invisible light, a blended light, and a bold light. Now, we do dive very deep into these application techniques in our V-Light certification class, but I want to give you a glimpse as to what they look like and how they're applied. So we'll first start with our invisible light. That's the first application of V-Light that I'm going to apply. And I'm going to install the invisible light closer to her hairline where she is the most fine. So zoom in here so we can see. She's the most fine here right around her hairline. So the invisible light is perfect for those very fine haired areas that the extension does need to be invisible. So we're going to start off with that invisible light. Okay, notice just how thin of a slice I took that I'll be applying my invisible light to. For this install, I am using tape-in extensions. Again, color number 1B/4, but I'm only using 18 inches, okay? Yes, we installed 22-inch and the perimeter, we installed 22-inch machine weft. However, I don't need 22-inch tape-ins around the face. I'm going to be cutting and face framing them anyway, and I'm using such a small amount of hair. It would be such a waste if I install 22 inches and then having to, cut and blend out at least the bottom 4 to 6 inches. So we're using 18-inch, and I'm using tape-in extensions just for this purpose. But again, you can use any extension system at Aqua that we carry. Also for this application, we're using black adhesive. Remember, you choose the adhesive color that's going to fit their natural base tone best. So black adhesive is more of a matte finish. Using black adhesive is best on levels 7 and below. And the clear adhesive, because it has a shine to it, is best for levels 8 and above. So we're using black adhesive today. Remember, shake the adhesive for 30 seconds before any and every application. Okay, so I first will cut the hair that I need from my tape and extension bond. So I'm just going to cut a very small amount of hair. Feather my hair up just to not have a harsh demarcation. Yes, this is a pro tip. Pro tip, feather your hair up. Place the extension hair directly onto her natural hair. Use my V-Light comb just to comb it in place. And then using my black adhesive, apply the adhesive across the hair. I like to use both sides of my comb just to make sure it's smoothed out. And then I'll cure. So another pro tip, we like to cure 3 times. 2 on the top, 1 underneath, just to ensure it's cured properly. And our first invisible light is complete. It is completely undetectable. Right, we have no idea where that extension starts and where her natural hair is. So a huge benefit to that invisible light. You can see it's such a small amount of hair being applied, a very small amount of adhesive, and the actual bond itself is pulled apart in the sense it looks strand by strand attached to her natural hair. The invisible light, as the name suggests, definitely is the most invisible application. This application is used in the hairline or in the crown where the client is extremely fine and almost invisible. So this application does last 2 to 4 weeks. It's definitely the most semi-permanent method. However, it's the only application technique that can truly be invisible and hidden in those really, really fine areas. Our next application technique is our blended light. Again, our blended light is just a little bit more hair than the invisible light and a little bit more adhesive. So if you notice, directly to the right of my invisible light, her density increases slightly, right? Going away from the hairline, her density is increasing, so that will allow me to place a blended light in that section. So I take my section for the blended light, use my V-Light shield, isolate the hair. The importance of the V-Light shield is for a few different reasons. So the V-Light shield will protect the client's scalp from the V-Light machine, absolutely. It will protect the scalp, but it also isolates the hair to protect from over usage of the adhesive. Okay, so the adhesive, right, it is viscous, it's liquid. It could run onto hairs that you do not want the adhesive to be. So this way, the V-Light shield if for some reason there's a transfer of adhesive, it's going to live on the shield. It's not going to touch the rest of her hair. So super, super important. We never, ever, ever do a V-Light section without using our V-Light shield. So I'm going to cut the hair necessary for the blended section. It is a little bit more hair than I used in my invisible section. Major benefit to our blended light versus our invisible light, again, is I can apply more hair in a blended light because this density of her natural hair is a little bit more. Okay, I lay my adhesive onto my blended light. Use my V-Light comb just to secure it in place, making sure it's super saturated. Once I'm ready, I'll cure. So notice the V-Light machine has this orange guard. Okay, that guard protects the light from your eyes. So this way the light is not shining directly back in your eyes. Again, and that shield, it's black, so it is opaque. There's no way to see through it, and that protects her scalp. So after I do my third cure, just ensuring my adhesive is fully cured, I now have my blended section. So I really want you to see the difference between this invisible, my blended, and my bold. So my invisible is here. It's very dainty, strand by strand. And my blended is just a little bit more hair. There's more depth to it. So you can see definitely more hair in the second section. Not quite as invisible. Definitely still very, very undetectable though. The blended light would be used in medium density areas due to the fact there is more adhesive and more hair extensions applied in this application. It lasts 4 to 6 weeks in the hair and is not quite as invisible as the invisible light. But the blended light is still a beautiful application that is nearly undetectable. So now that we've demonstrated our invisible, our blended, last is our bold light. The bold light is awesome in a way that you can apply the most hair in the smallest section, okay? So let's talk density purposes. Yes, I could do an entire face frame area or an entire V-light application of just invisible lights. And let's say I'm only using 10 grams of hair total. So just to give you an example, what I used here in this invisible is about 1 gram. Okay, it's a very, very small amount of hair. Yes, I could do 10 sections, right? 10 sections of those invisible light to give you 10 fill-in areas with my V-light. However, with my bold light, let's say I use 3 grams of hair per bold light. I get a nice thick panel to fill in my sides that I need to. I may only then need to do 3 sections of bold light to get the same look. So there's no right or wrong. The only area that I would never place a bold light is in the hairline where it's definitely going to be see-through. You're going to see that bold light. Now let's section for our bold light. So again, my bold light is further away from the hairline where you can see, if you come a little bit closer, you can see where she's much more dense here. Okay, she's much, much more dense further from the hairline. That will allow me to place a bold light because all of this hair is going to cover. So again, always using my V-Light shield. And notice I'm using 4 single prong clips to clip my V-Light shield in place. I just like it to be secure. I don't want it moving around. I don't want it elevated. I don't want it sticking out. So I know if I secure it with 4 single prong clips, 1 on either side, it's not going anywhere. So there's my bold light section. Now I will cut the hair from this tape and bond that is needed for this section. And I'm ready to apply my adhesive. Now with our bold light, as I mentioned, it is the most amount of natural hair, the most amount of extension hair, and the most amount of adhesive used. So it's super important to make sure with your bold light, you use enough adhesive, but obviously there's a fine line between enough adhesive and too much. When it's blended, I cure. 2 cures on the top and 1 cure underneath. And my bold light's complete. Let's take off our shield so we can see this section in comparison to our first 2. So we have our invisible light, our blended light, and our bold light, okay? If you're really looking close, our invisible light we see is a very dainty section, literally strand by strand. It is so invisible and it's very close to the hairline. This is never going to be detected into the hair. Now our blended light, we can tell a little bit chunkier, right? A little bit more adhesive, a little bit more hair, but still super natural. And then we have our bold light. Also very beautiful, right? Very seamless, but much more adhesive and much more extension hair. A bold light should be placed in your medium to heavier density clients, as it wouldn't be used on your very fine haired clients. A bold light is not quite as undetectable as an invisible or a blended light because it does use more hair extensions and more adhesive in that section. A major benefit to a bold light is you can place the max density of hair in fewer amount of sections, definitely taking much less time. With all three application techniques, invisible, blended, and bold, the individual customization is limitless. You can choose the application techniques that fit your guest's hair needs best, whether it's one or all three applications.